is at hand. Ghostly hauntings since time began. Raw side paranormal seeks the truth, looking for some kind of real proof. Creepy floorboards and eerie dark mist. Grab your camera and document this. No time to run, no time to hide. We are catching all of this on the raw side. A slamming door causes a fright. A shadowed hand appears in sight. Grab your REM pods and your K2s, or anything else you can use. No time to run, no time to hide. We are catching all of this on the wrong side. A slamming door causes a fright. A shadowed hand appears in sight. Grab your REM pods and your K2s, or anything else you can use. No time to run, no time to hide. We are catching all of this on the raw side. The icy air touches your neck. You feel like screaming, but you stay in check. Orbs rising up to take the magical flight. You can't believe what's happening tonight. Don't run, don't try to hide. We are catching this all on the raw side. Don't run, don't try to hide. We are catching this all on the raw side.
Happy Saturday, everybody. How's it going? I hope everybody's having a great weekend. Usually I'm on with Susan on Saturdays, but not tonight. I have scheduled Wes and Lisa from Aprf. Susan's off doing her thing. Hopefully she'll pop in on chat. Let me see who took the time to come hang out with us today. Hello, Miss Carla. And tell Andrew I said hello as well. I see Ghost Cats. Hello, how's it going? Mystic Nina. Lovely, lovely Sir Pomp. How's it going? And then we've got, let's see, keep scrolling up. Hey, Matt, thanks for stopping in. We appreciate that. If anybody missed my interview Wednesday with Matt and Joe, go check it out. Check out their documentary. Awesome. You won't be disappointed. And let's see who else has come to hang with us tonight. Miss Leanne is in here as well. And welcome to anybody that I missed. Hopefully I didn't miss anybody, but I usually do. Sorry about that, guys. Carlos is glad you were still able to go live. Your mic is muffled with your setup, just so you know. Oh, is it? Sorry, guys. I don't know. It's the mic on the laptop. That's what I've got to work with. Let me see if I can try to adjust it a little bit. Let me see. Hold on just a quick second. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can switch to. I don't know. Is that any better, guys? Let me know if that's any better. You got to give me the heads up. Let me know if that's any better. I didn't miss the problem being where I am. It was supposed to be doing an investigation this weekend. That crashed and burned, so I don't have any of my regular stuff. No, it's bad. Okay, I'll switch it back to something else. Hold on. I don't know if that's going to help out at all or not. Okay, just volume. Hold on. Let's see. Holy crap, man. Holy crap. I don't know, guys. Is that working any better? How about that one? Just let me know if that one's any better. If not, I'll have to switch back to what I had and just really talk loud. That's the best I can do. That this is better? Okay, great. Yep. I wasn't gonna drag a bunch of thanks everybody. Thanks, Matt. Thanks, thanks, Carla. Yeah, I wasn't gonna drag a whole huge bunch of stuff with me when I was doing this. Yeah, usually that's the whole thing. I was going on investigation this weekend. Unfortunately, the historical home that I was going to do. See, guys, every time I go for this house, I think it's an omen. It was rented out, and I can't do the investigation because there's people in there. So I'm just gonna have to wait till they shut down in the autumn and winterize the house, and then I'll get in there. It just wasn't meant to be, I guess. But I'm determined. So, without any further ado, guys, please welcome Wes and Lisa from Aprf. How you doing, guys? How are you?
Hi, everyone.
And yes, everybody's wondering about my background. Yeah, it's a virtual background. I was going to do this outside so everybody could see the lake and everything, but then all the boats. They're boat crazy out there today, so you wouldn't be able to hear me. All you'd hear was boats and everything, jet skis, everybody going bananas on the water. So we picked a safe space inside the inside the lake house. So how are you guys doing tonight?
Very well, thank
Really
you.
good, thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. I'm, enjoying the weather. Finally, we've had a break in this horrible weather where it's, 90 degrees and 90% humidity. It was beautiful. 75 today. Oh, it's just gorgeous. If our summer was like that the whole time, it'd be fantastic as far as I'm concerned.
It's been really warm here today.
So yeah, and we're gonna squeeze it in because I guess rain's headed this way, but I don't know how much. So hopefully, keep our fingers crossed, and the storm won't interrupt the internet. Anybody who didn't catch the last interview that we had with Wes and Lisa when I had Susan on, hi Claire, hi sweetie. That I would like you guys to start over from the beginning. What put you in this position? What made you join the paranormal field and to pursue it?
Well, myself, I've always been interested in the paranormal ever since I was a boy. I've been reading books on the subject ever since I could read, really. My parents used to take me to the library, and my first book was Little Red Riding Hood. And when I read that, I really got a liking for any book that made me scared. And then, as if by magic, when I was 10 years old, a poltergeist outbreak occurred around the corner from where I lived. And I spent the last part of my summer holidays that year outside of the house, witnessing all the comings and goings of the various people, the professionals that were going in and out of the place. And even I was lucky enough to be able to hear some of the things that were happening inside of the house. And that firmly cemented my fascination with the paranormal. And I've had the bug ever since, really.
Fantastic. How about you, Lisa? What made you get into this crazy world of paranormal investigating?
Wes.
Blame it on Wes. It's Wes's fault.
It's my fault.
Yeah. I've always been interested in sort of angels and the spiritual side of things. But yeah, I've only got into it because of Wes, really. Something you can do together. It's really nice.
So, well, you don't sound like you regret it. So I guess it was a good
No,
move.
not at all. No.
Right. Now, I think it's fantastic that you guys take a different approach when you're doing your investigations. What made you choose this style of investigating, and what kind of results have you been getting from doing it your way?
Well, the reason why we've decided to adopt the particular approach that we do is purely because if we're ever going to make any inroads into the understanding of the subject. We need to be able to, as best as we possibly can, measure and quantify results, things like temperature, air pressure. We want to see if anything did happen. We haven't actually witnessed anything so far, be completely honest about that. We've not encountered anything that would lead us to believe that any of the locations so far have actually been haunted. And the reason why we use the equipment is so that we can actually measure, if we were to witness anything, we could actually measure any changes in things like temperature, air pressure, humidity, to see if anything goes hand in hand with any experiences that we or anybody else has at a particular location. So we haven't actually, other than a temperature anomaly, which we talked about in our video on the black swan in Devizes, wasn't it? Where we spent the night in this, it was a particularly renowned room 4 in the Black Swan, where people have experienced apparitions, temperature drops, and we didn't actually feel anything during the night, did we? I mean, it was only a degree temperature drop. It's quite noticeable on the data logger that we had. And if you don't use equipment, there are certain things that might pass you by. I mean, our sensors are probably the best instrument you can have, really. But you can't prove it to anybody. If you later claim that you've seen or experienced something, you need some form of I don't know. You need to be able to produce data, in our opinion, to be able to quantify what you've seen or experienced, and so that's why we're adopting the approach that we have.
Carlos wants to know, she also wants to know if you collect data on vibrations as well.
Yes, we do. Yeah. We've got 3 data loggers that collect vibrations as well as other parameters such as EMF, air pressure, temperature, humidity. And we have a standalone vibration data logger, which we can set it to either detect vibrations or a more general motion. And we use this in our video on Knowlton Church, where we actually pegged it into the ground to see if there was any underground disturbances that could have been contributing to, what people maybe misinterpreted as ghostly horetooths at that location. It didn't come up with anything at that time, but yeah, definitely vibration. Okay. Yeah.
Fantastic. Hi, Mystic. If I didn't catch you the first time, hi, Cree. Hello, Susan. Welcome, everybody. Never late, Cree. You're never late. Can you let everybody know what kind of equipment do you use to gather this data?
Well, generally it's engineering equipment. We do have a few devices that have actually been produced specifically for paranormal research. We use EDI plus meters, data loggers. They're very handy because especially if you're doing an investigation where you're moving the equipment around every hour or so, rather than moving starting and stopping several pieces of equipment, you've literally got one piece of equipment that will record 5 different parameters. You only need to press one on-off button and then move that and start it recording again. But we do have standalone bits of equipment that measure individual parameters, and they're purely designed for things like air pressure, and they're produced by engineering companies.
Oh, fantastic. Paranormal Research Unit wants to know, what data loggers do you have? I'm interested. I'm buying more. He has 7 of them.
Right. Well, we use the EDI plus meters. There's one called a Pile PYLE, I think it is, data logger, which is an excellent data logger for air pressure. We've just got some new ones for temperature. Forgive me, I can't remember the names of those. But the one we use for infrasound is made by a company called Infiltech, and it's the Infra 20 infrasound recorder. And again, that's an engineering piece of equipment. It's been calibrated, so these bits of equipment are very accurate.
Fantastic. Well, hello, Holy Crow, man. The man himself, Crow Judas, has entered the house. Hi, Crow. Hope you're feeling
Oh, hi,
better.
Crow.
Hi, Pinky, sweetie. Oh my goodness, a surprise. I think it's because everybody is so interested on your approach to the paranormal. It's different. And I think it's refreshing because, I mean, we all are doing the same type of steps, the same type of equipment, and you guys are going at it at a different angle. And I think that's fantastic. What kind of data have you collected doing this kind of approach?
As I say, we've not actually recorded anything that would lead us to believe, other than the occasion at the Black Swan when we recorded an unexpected and unexplainable drop in temperature. Other than that, we've not actually been able to capture any data that would lead us to believe that any location we've been to so far is actually haunted. That's not to say these locations aren't haunted, but the times that we've been to them have not produced any evidence to that effect.
Right. And how many, like, you've been to these places multiple times and done the same exact testing, correct?
Yeah, we've been to the Black Swan 3 times now. We've been to we've been to a few places where we haven't actually produced videos for, which we will be going back. There's the Red Lion in Colchester, near where the most haunted house in England used to stand, Hawley Rectory. And that's quite an interesting place. So yeah, we're almost certainly going to be going back there. Knowlton Church, we're doing regular infrasound measurements, as we said we do in our video earlier in the year, and we'll be producing a video around about Christmas time, providing all the data from that to see if our theory is provable.
Fantastic. Yeah, Crow wants to have a goatee ponitail too. I'm just a little disappointed it's not blue this time. It was
Well,
blue
yes,
last time.
it's kind of fading. Our next video I'm editing, I've just done it blue, so it'll be a lovely bright
Bit
blue.
bright.
But yeah,
All right, something to look
yeah,
forward to.
yeah, especially for Sarah. Fantastic publishing.
She likes it blue, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
I see Ghost Cats wants to know, are you writing all of your data so you can write a book on all of your work? Good question.
No, I mean, we save the data, so I don't delete it, because it'd be nice to have something to refer back to. I mean, maybe one day I'll do a memoirs type thing, but we're only sort of 5 years into our journey doing this, and only a year on YouTube. So I think we've got a while to go yet before we've got anything that we can.
Something for retirement.
Something for retirement, yeah, yeah.
Right, and then you sit down and write the book because people are going to be interested.
Yeah.
Matt says, he goes, I want 15 data loggers. I am looking them up. I prefer using devices not used in the paranormal and by actual engineers. We use a Mag Check 95 sensor is one of them I use. I will be buying more soon. So everything that you're using is done by actual engineers, correct?
Not everything, no.
Not everything.
But it's good to see that people are looking at that, because the engineering devices, you can be sure that they've been properly calibrated, so you'll get an accurate result from them. We do have a few devices that we use that have been designed for paranormal investigations. So I'm not 100% sure they would have passed the same rigorous sort of requirements that the engineering devices would have, but we always try and get the best if we do buy anything along that line.
Right. Fantastic. Hey, Face the Ace, welcome, welcome. Yeah, Matt's loving it. He goes, finally a guy in the paranormal that speaks my language. Well, guys, like I said, everybody does the same thing. Everybody does the same thing. They all get the same stuff. They all have the same gadgets. And it hasn't really produced any kind of positive data for people to collect. Do you use any of that other stuff or no?
In terms of what? Sorry. We don't.
Like,
Well, we
like
don't.
the REM pods and spirit boxes. And I know you don't use it.
No. I mean, we have used. Yeah, we have used spirit boxes in the past, but when we did our video on the hotel Shaftesbury,
Grosvenor.
the Grosvenor Arms, yeah, we had a really strange anomaly occur there, and it sounded for all the world like water, and it did spook us a bit because we thought, what is this coming through? And I spoke to an engineer at work, and he's an expert on radio technology. He confirmed it was just an artifact created by DAB radio when there's a weak signal, and it actually sounds like running water. So we decided that from that point on, using radios wasn't scientific enough for our liking. So we've dropped that side of it, but we are continuing with a device called a Raudive diode, which basically you plug into your voice recorder, and there's a little red button on the Raudive diode and a microphone built into the diode box. When you press the red button, you ask your question, and it allows sound to travel through and into the voice recorder to record your question. And when you release the red button, it completely cuts off any sound in the room. And as I understand it, the diode itself utilizes static electricity in the room, and I don't understand the electronics behind it, but it somehow converts that into voices if there are any alleged spirit voices present. Again, we've not ever recorded anything on that so far, but there has been a long history of people having success with it. So unless it gets debunked, we're going to continue with that. But we do stress in our videos that it is an experimental piece of equipment.
Fantastic. Wow. I mean, you're aware of Kenny Biddle. Maybe if you had mentioned
Yeah.
to him about this piece of equipment, maybe there's something he could look into
Yeah, sure.
and
Yeah.
get you some answers that you're looking for. Hi,
Yeah.
Sage. How are you doing? Yeah, no, nobody wants to use the cat balls. I mean, my cat doesn't even want to play with cat balls, so I don't see why anybody else wants to use them.
No, no.
Anything. And it's the truth too. I put an issue on nothing to do with them, so it's, I don't know.
Yeah.
I find it annoying that people do use them. I mean, if there's, some are really sensitive, and yeah, the vibrations on the floor or whatever are going to set them off. But people get drawn into just the fantasy of, oh, this is spirit coming through, and that a lot of people get sucked into that. As far as like with the false channels, the entertainment channels, what are your opinions about them and their effect on the real paranormal field?
I think, if somebody's open and honest that they're doing it for entertainment, and that's clearly understood from the outset, then fair enough. But the fact that so many of these people have produced these videos claiming that to offer some kind of proof, I think, it causes a lot of problems. Not least when you have people who are grieving and who are looking for answers, and they obtain some sort of false comfort from things that are put out by these channels, only to later find that it's complete fake. So I think they do more harm than good, and I just wish that they'd be honest about what they're doing, because at the end of the day, they're just, I don't rate them at all. And it's one of the reasons why we started doing it, actually, because we saw so many people faking videos, and when the debunkers started becoming more prominent, we thought, great, this could be an opening for somebody who, like us, who want to be honest. And that's one of the reasons we started our channel.
That's fantastic. No, I agree, Cree. Don't here we'll see what Cree says on here. Says, I don't care what things people have used. I have those. I can't stand like the SLS. Yeah, I know. I don't like it either. Or the DR60, which is proven to be faulty, and they still use it. And she says, but as far as I'm concerned, it's their investigation. They should be able to use whatever they want. And I do agree, because I always tell the people, I don't use any of these things, but I'm not saying you don't use them. I do have my opinion about some of the things and the pieces that they use, but I'm not saying don't use them, because this is still just an experiment. We're still in experimental stages. So if you get something, that we don't, hey, bravo. But, it's still just consider it a test. What this really disturbs me is that when people let the gadgets run the investigation.
No, that's exactly right. Yeah, completely agree. As long as people sort of say that these whatever bits of equipment they're using are experimental, I think people should be allowed to use whatever they want. But certain things, like Korea said, the DR60, the SLS, they have been completely disproven as that they don't bring any worth to an investigation whatsoever.
Right. Matt says collecting data is hard in the paranormal. Need enough devices for full coverage. Plus, you have to try your best to eliminate external contamination. Yeah, that's like the big problem.
Yeah.
That's why I always ask everybody, like, when you guys, hi Sage, how's it going? Like, when you guys go on, before you start your investigation, do you do a total walkthrough and testing of the environment before you even turn any cameras on?
Yeah, we go around and we make a note of any possible areas where, because one of the biggest problems we have is noise contamination. And then obviously when you get to reviewing your audio for that particular investigation, you have to know which areas are areas where you've heard people talking, say, in the front of a building, as we had with our recent investigation, which will be coming out sometime soon, hopefully. When you can hear people out on a street talking, that can muddy the waters. So you need to make notes of areas where your audio might not be as reliable as, say, another part of that location. But yeah, we do walk around. We do baseline tests for EMF, temperature, in order to see if there's been any changes in that fluctuations throughout the course of the investigation.
Right. Let's see here. Crow says, I also think teams are getting lazy, relying way too much on the Estes method and apps. What are your opinions about those two things?
With the Estes method, when we did use the Spirit Box radio, the way we did the Estes method, because there is a flaw to it, the Estes method was actually invented to try and reduce the possibility of subjectivity in that particular experiment, if you want to call the Estes method an experiment. So what we tried to do, so that we could prove what was being said or interpreted. Lisa was the one that always had the headphones on, weren't you? We used to plug the radio directly into the voice recorder, so that any claims of any spirit voices could then be played directly back. You weren't just taking Lisa's word for it. But as I said a moment ago, because of certain anomalies that can be created by atmospheric conditions, we decided to completely drop that. And we don't use apps at all because, in our opinion, they are mainly word banks, and there's no scientific basis for any results that have alleged to have been obtained from them.
Right. Yeah, I'm not big on the apps either. I did use one once. I did get an interesting result though. First time using it, so, I couldn't have time to pick up anything off of my phone or hear us talking, or how they usually say it works. And it did say a name of a person that had just passed away, and I was actually sitting in that person's chair.
Wow.
So I found it very odd that that application said that specific name at that specific location while I was sitting in the man's chair. So it put a little doubt in my head.
Yeah.
And
We've
maybe
had,
that's something that we continue with, maybe continue
Mm.
testing.
yeah, definitely. Well, we had a I mentioned the Red Lion in Colchester, which is near where the most haunted house in Britain used to stand. Lisa and I were in the function room. We were in there. We were quite lucky that night, weren't we? They gave us a whole run. There was hardly anybody else in the hotel, but they gave us a free run of the hotel and the function room. And so we set up an Estes method in there, and Lisa had the headphones on at one end of the function room. I was at the other end, and I just looked out of the window. It was Saturday night, and it was a army garrison town. So it was a little bit rowdy outside, and I happened to sort of just mumble to myself, "Oh, looks a bit dodgy out there," because it looked like there was a bit of a fight breaking out. Lisa couldn't hear me because she had the headphones on. She said what she heard on the radio, didn't you? And the voice said, "Safer inside." And I thought, oh, that's a bit strange. And then later on, do you want to tell everybody about the lady?
I can't remember what her name was
Okay.
now.
The name, I think it was Geraldine came through. I think it was Geraldine. And she said, "This is a bell." Didn't she?
Oh,
Do you
yeah,
remember that? This is a bell. And we thought, Geraldine, this is a bell. We thought, that's a bit random. Anyway, when we got back to our room, we did a little bit of research on the area. And in the Victorian times, there was a prominent local lady, called Geraldine, or whatever this lady's name was. And she had a daughter called Isabel. So it wasn't
Wow.
this Isabel, it was Isabel, yeah. So that was a bit strange. So we have had a few things like that, but nothing that certifiably paranormal, because all these things could be coincidence, couldn't they?
Yeah, just fit
So,
to what we were thinking.
yeah.
Saying.
I'm saying, yeah, well, the experiment goes on. Hi,
Yeah.
Jonathan, welcome. Let's see, Matt is getting sensors. Matt's getting sensors medically implanted. If it worked, I would believe it. That girl, I would believe it. Let's see here. I don't want to miss anybody's. Guys, if you have any questions at all, don't be afraid to kick them out there, so that they can answer to the best of their ability. As far as your best location and data, what was the best place that you've actually ever been to? And do you plan on going back?
What do you think? Or again, the Red Lion. With respect to our research, we've got ongoing research going on into infrasound, and particularly at Knowlton Church, where we believe the frequency of 18.98 hertz, which is the frequency, the resonant frequency of the human eyeball, that can cause ocular illusions or hallucinations, if you want to call them that. We've picked this frequency up at the Red Lion, and it was a massive spike on the infrasound graph. The counts for all the other frequencies below 20 hertz were quite low, and then this massive spike, and we've stayed there a few times, and it's not anything paranormal, but that particular frequency can cause people to have paranormal experiences, and we've not been able to pinpoint the cause of this frequency. We've checked into the boiler room, haven't we? And that wasn't running at the time. So there's something man-made. We thought it was the nightclub. There was a nightclub nearby. We thought it was a low-frequency bass speaker that might have been producing this frequency. But then I checked it again, did another frequency test the following morning, and that frequency was still prominent, and we picked it up in 2 rooms. We've stayed there twice now, so we're going to go back at some point and do a more in-depth study on that. So that, yeah, the red line at Colchester is definitely a good one. We'd like to go back to room 4 of the Black Swan again, and our most recent location, which we haven't released our video on, is a local museum. And we were lucky enough to be able to secure that for the night several weeks ago. So we're definitely going to go back there with a more focused approach on
That was a good one.
on some of the areas there.
And
Yeah, fantastic.
Shepton Mallet Prison was good too. I really enjoyed
Yeah,
that one.
yeah. Yeah, the only problem with some of the bigger places like Shepton Mallet Prison again is the noise pollution, because noise travels through the pipes. You know, somebody could be making a bang a pipe in another part of the prison, and you'd hear it in
Right.
another, because it travels. So yeah, you need to be so aware of things like that in order to discount them, and then obviously make notes whenever you hear anything, because when you go back through all your video and especially audio, you have to discount certain things as being natural.
Right. That's why I always stress with everybody, because writing down notes is so old fashioned, and it's
Yeah.
no, I think it's very important that
No,
you have a
no,
book and a
no.
notebook, all of
Yeah,
these things, so that you have something to go back to reference.
yeah, yeah,
So I'm glad that you guys do that.
yeah.
So Wes, when is the next premiere ready?
Well, I'm still editing at the moment. But we've got so much audio and video to go through. Because it was just us, and we had the entire museum. There's 10 galleries in the museum. We didn't cover all of them, but we left video recorders running in certain parts of the museum and audio recorders. So we need to go through literally every second of all the audio and all the video, as we do with all our investigations, in order to sort of just trawl through to see if we found anything.
Right.
So yeah, it'll be out as soon as we can, but I don't want to rush. We can't compromise the study of the data, because ultimately that's what it's all about, and then the video has to come second. So as soon as we work through it, but we are actually using something different, slightly different in this one. We thought it'd be we normally use digital voice recorders, and we thought it'd be fun to try using, you know, the old style tape recorder, the cassettes.
Yep. Yeah.
So at the bottom of the staircase in this museum, there's been allegedly reports of footsteps and whispers. So we thought it'd be fun to leave an old style tape recorder running there. We have to keep going back to change the tapes over. You know, it's all old fashioned stuff, isn't it? But
I've done that. Actually, you get it really, because I did pick up something on the tape, and
yeah,
it was a very clear, solid EVP. So I think it
yeah,
gives you a better chance of catching something
yeah.
using the old fashioned stuff.
Well, yeah. I mean, people talk about stone tape theory, you know, because iron, you know, you got iron in the stonework in the same way on a tape. You know, it can record voices and images. So yeah, we thought it'd be a good idea to maybe try going back to that, and you know, using some of the old. And we've got an old Polaroid, you know, the old Polaroid Instamatic camera that produces.
Yeah, yeah.
We're going to try that at some point as well. I thought, well,
That's
I've
great.
had one of those for years, and I've never got around to using it yet. So be a good excuse to get that out and
Oh,
dust it off.
look forward to that. That's great. Cree wants to know what has been people's responses to your type of investigating?
Really positive.
Yeah, it's been very positive. I don't know if it's put some people off, because I mean, some people just like the thrill of the investigation. As I know some people, maybe not in this community, but there are people out there who just enjoy seeing people being scared, and the investigators being scared, and all this sort of thing. But we like to take a more level-headed approach, and we thought it's just a matter of being true to ourselves. We said when we started this journey that we wouldn't compromise on that. We had our own sort of aims and objectives that we feel we've been true to. And we're really pleased that in the main people have been very accepting of that, and we really value everybody who subscribed to us. It's such an amazing community, and we'll always do our best for you.
It's wonderful. Yeah, everybody, you guys, got to check out their channel, definitely. Matt says there is something interesting about radio frequency being used possibly by entity or consciousness. I have had too many legit experiences with it, but it is not scientific at all how we use them. But I think you guys are all on a good track right now, because you're looking into something that everybody seems to be overlooking. So maybe eventually, as you gather all of this data from doing what you're doing and using these different machines and to catalog them, I think there's going to be a big surprise coming. I really do.
Well, I hope so, because we found nothing yet. But
just like anything else, it's probably going to take years.
Right.
But
yeah. But ultimately, supposing we did, we were lucky enough to see an apparition or experience something like that one night. We'd be fascinated to know what other environmental factors change. We've got all these factors being data logged. So at that precise moment in time, because they're all, we synchronize them all before we start an investigation. We go through every single one of them and our cameras and voice recorders and make sure that within 1 or 2 seconds they're saying the same time, so that we can cross-reference everything. So at any given point in time, we know what the temperature is, and at that same point in time, what the humidity and everything else is. I think that's quite important as well. Yeah, making sure everything, if you do have a lot of data loggers, make sure that everything is synchronized, time synchronized, so that when you review it, you can see what else is changing, if at all, at that particular point in time.
Yes, fantastic. Hi, Tanya. Before I forget to say it again, I'm so sorry. Sage wants to know, do you think that infrasound can be the root cause of the paranormal experiences?
Personally, yeah. I mean, there has been evidence to the contrary, but there's also, I think the jury's still out on that. Our investigation at Knowlton Church came about because we were actually there having a family picnic one day, and I was blowing over the top of a bottle, and I looked up at the tower and I thought, I wonder if the wind blowing at a particular speed can produce an infrasonic frequency in much the same way as the sound you get when you blow over the top of a bottle. A frequency that you can't hear, but could possibly be affecting the human body in some way, as to produce some sort of either ocular distortion or hallucination. And that's how that investigation came about. We've been going back there. I won't reveal anything about our results so far. We're going to continue taking results throughout the rest of the year. And we're hoping in the autumn months onwards, when the wind gets up, we're going to get some different results as well. So definitely, I think infrasound can be playing a part, but also EMF, high EMF. Some people make the mistake of thinking that EMF is caused by paranormal energies, and that's not the case at all. High EMF can be produced by unshielded electrical cabling and high amounts of electrical cabling, and experiments have shown that exposure to high levels of EMF can also induce feelings of fear, paranoia, and of being watched. So there are a number of environmental factors that can possibly be contributing to people's haunted experiences, which again is why I think it's so important to be trying to measure these elements, because if it's proven that these levels are within what's considered acceptable levels, then they can be discounted, and then we obviously have to look at other things.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Cree wants to know, I admittedly haven't seen all of your videos as of yet, but I'm interested in the one you spoke about in your introduction video. It is one I have heard of, ball mouth. Did I say that right, guys?
Yeah,
Can you talk about that?
yeah, sure. Bournemouth. It's Bournemouth. It's
Okay.
the town where Lisa and I grew up on the south coast of England. In August 1981, there was a lady, a family called the Burden family, Mr. and Mrs. Burden, and they had a foster son, Bradley. And Mrs. Burden was in the kitchen on this one particular Friday morning in the summer holidays with Bradley, and all of a sudden, objects started moving. I think the TV. We used to have TVs on long legs. I don't know if people can remember when TVs used to be on legs. The TV started dancing around the room by itself. And this is how it all started. Well, actually, earlier that morning, they had a dog, and the dog was barking as well. So the dog kind of experienced the very beginnings of it. As far as I know, it didn't start with the traditional phenomena of rappings and scratches that many poltergeists do. This one kind of more or less launched straight into quite violent behaviour. Um, and yeah, I heard about it on the radio, and my parents, bless them, they let me go around the court. It was only a few roads away from where we were living, and I literally spent every available moment for the rest of the summer holidays outside the house. And I'll never forget. There was one occasion when I heard Mrs. Burden, because the front door used to be open a lot because there were so many people coming and going. Um, and I actually saw through the front door, you could see through to their living room at the back, and the sofa was upside down. And I can remember thinking at that time, my God, how much energy would be needed to upturn a heavy item of furniture like that? And it was one of these occasions when the front door was open. I can remember hearing Mrs. Burden scream out, "Oh my God, it's gone cold again." And several seconds later, I heard all manner of crockery smashing, bangs. Yeah, I dread to think what was going on in there. And people were coming out
Wow.
in their head. I mean, for me, it must have been absolutely terrifying for them. And looking back, I do feel so sorry for them. But for me, it was the thing that cemented my fascination with the paranormal. And having having sort of witnessed that side of it, I know that there is something there worth investigating. So yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. Well, an experience like that, yeah, anybody would jump on
Mm,
and check it out.
mm.
So Matt says, they go, I have a very rare data logger that I am not going to name yet because there is another one for sale that I'm going to buy for $1,000 in a couple of days. This will be my second one. I think actually, I don't know here, I'm going to put it out there, Matt and Wes. I think the two of you should get together and actually do a live program explaining to everybody how these pieces of equipment work, what kind of data you could expect to get from them. Just pretty much pick them apart and explain everything to the community on why you're using them and what the benefits of using them would be. I think that would be great.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, I have been considering lately. I've had a few people mention that they'd like a video on data loggers. How we get the measurements, if you like, onto the particular devices, and then how we extract that information to produce the graphs that we do. So yeah, I'll be more than happy to do that. So once we get our next investigation video done, I'll be getting going with that. And
Yeah,
yeah,
that would be great.
yeah,
Kind of like, a how-to or tell-all or however you want
yeah,
to, just,
yeah,
an educational video or
yeah,
live program. I think live would be better because then people can ask you questions and
yeah,
interact with you on, certain things that you're showing and how, you do catalog and collect the data. I think that would be
yeah.
awesome. Hey, Debs, how's it going? Let's roll down and see if I miss anything. Don't want to miss anybody's questions. Let's see. So Cree says, so others saw it.
There was no apparition. Sometimes in poltergeist cases, ghosts are seen, as with the East Drive poltergeist, the Black Monk of Pontefract, and other poltergeist cases. Apparitions are witnessed, but there wasn't on this particular occasion. There were no apparitions seen, but police and social workers witnessed objects moving around. I remember distinctly reading there was a police officer that went into the empty house, and this is another strange thing. When poltergeists, you have a poltergeist outbreak, the focus or agent of that particular outbreak, if they move location, normally the haunting will follow them, because poltergeists haunt people rather than places. In this particular incident, things happened in the house when it was believed that the young boy Bradley was the agent. Even when he wasn't there, things were happening, and the police officer went into the kitchen, and a Welsh dresser in the kitchen tipped itself over right in front of his eyes, and he was the only person in the house. So you had professional people witnessing these things. A table top flew off the top of a table and was spinning around the living room. Biscuit tins were flying around, and it was all professional people, journalists, police, social workers, witnessing all these things. And the Society for Psychical Research tried to do an investigation on the haunting, but unfortunately, by the time their two representatives arrived, the haunting had actually finished. I believe that it only lasted for about 2 weeks. But yeah, professional people saw things flying around.
I think that answers your question, Cree. That professional
Yeah,
people and others did see it.
Yeah, definitely.
So I mean, okay. You've got multiple people experiencing all of that. So that's wild. And I would definitely go back there if you had the opportunity and see if the same thing would take place. That would be awesome.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's only a few minutes from where we live, because it's in the same town Lisa and I grew up in. And it has been, strangely enough, it's been up for sale several times, and it's constantly up for rent. I don't know if anybody's experienced anything in recent years. So if maybe next time it comes up for rent, I might have a word with the agent. And yeah, but strangely enough, in this particular case as well, nothing happened in the upstairs part of the house. Everything happened in the hallway, because I think the telephone table tipped over as well in the hallway. There was a front room to the house. Nothing happened in there. Everything was centered around the kitchen and the living room at the back of the house.
Interesting.
Yeah, with poltergeists, you get these things called object focusing or area focusing. So sometimes you can have just a singular object, wherever it's placed in the house, it will move. But then with area focusing, you only get certain areas where, whatever's placed into that area will move. And that's quite an interesting phenomena in itself.
Does anybody know the back history of the property and the grounds that would cause stuff?
No, I mean, they did do some research at the time, and they held a séance towards the end of the haunting. A local priest came round, and he blessed the house with holy water. The holy water actually got thrown back into his face when he cast it out, and it actually got repelled back into his face. He actually took part in the séance. I don't think he was very happy about doing it, because I think it conflicted with some of his spiritual beliefs. But they had a séance in the morning, and it turned out to be a spirit of a guy called Ian came through and said that he'd lost his life through substance misuse a number of years before locally. And they did another séance in the evening, and a gentleman or young boy came through, by the name of Ian as well. And they said, "Are you the same person?" And he said, Yes. And they said to him, "Well, how can you be a man in the morning and a boy in the evening?" And whatever this entity was said, "Where I am, time runs differently, and you can be whatever you want to be." That's very, very strange. So
Yes.
yeah, other than somebody dying locally in tragic circumstances, nobody knows.
Of course, you don't know. Yeah, you don't know.
Yeah,
It could be just an evil entity just pulling everybody's chain and saying,
yeah.
what everybody wants to
Well,
hear. See,
yeah,
you
that's
don't
right.
know
I
who the
mean,
hell you're dealing
yeah,
with.
that's happened a numerous amount of times, doesn't it? Where these entities come through and they impersonate people and lead investigators down the garden path. So
Right.
yeah,
How's it going, Joe? Thanks for joining. Pam, if I didn't say hello, hello, hello. And hi, Pinky Pinky. Cree wants to know, did you ever think to investigate it yourself?
yeah. I mean, I have, as I say, a number of times when it's come up for rent, but because um, poltergeists are attached to people, even though things happened while this lad was out of the house. As far as I know, nothing's happened since then. And this was, bearing in mind, this was in 1981. So I think any activity that did happen, as strong as it was back then, has long since dissipated. But if ever we did get an inkling that something was going on, yeah, we'd be the first ones round there.
Banging on the door.
Yeah.
To get in there, right?
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
right.
blame you.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, because it does make you question, why is it always up for sale? Why is it always up for rent? It's because
Yeah.
something is going on in there and it's scaring the hell out of everybody and they're getting out.
Yeah.
Because I know of a property that's that way too, that it was up for sale for years. And I know somebody that bought it and then they had a bunch of activity and then they put it up for sale. For years, they wouldn't even go down the porch of this home. So the whole town knew about it, except for the person that buys it. They're in the dark about it, and wasn't a
Yeah.
good place.
Yeah.
Cree says, so if someone said that it was made up to get out of renting the place, what would you say? I believe you, but this would be something people would say. Yeah, that's true. If they knew the history,
Yeah.
I think it would be true.
Yeah. Well, firstly, as far as I'm aware, the Burdens had lived in Abbott Road, where this outbreak took place. They'd lived there for 10 years quite happily. So, i in their particular instance, I don't think there was anything like that. But yeah, people have made allegations about hauntings in the past to be moved if they're in social housing. Um, and my first sort of train of thought would be to believe them. But if I could get in there to see what was going on, I mean that would actually benefit them, wouldn't it? So
Oh
um,
yeah.
yeah, so I'd absolutely love to be able to investigate something. A spontaneous haunting, they are so so rare to be able to, because a lot of them aren't even reported. People have things going on in the houses. They don't want anybody thinking they're mad, so they don't say anything about it. It's not unless
Exactly.
yeah, it's not until something really big starts happening, and the neighbours start complaining because they're hearing furniture being smashed up, that some of these cases get brought to light.
Hi, Wiz. Welcome in. Yes, I agree. Because yeah, you even to this day, when people say, "Well, what do you do?" and you're telling me what you do, and they look at you like, "What is wrong with you? You're crazy."
Mhm.
There's no such thing. So yeah, if you're living in that type of situation, and you're going to say, "Well, hey, I think I got this going on in my house," and they're like, "Oh yeah, have another drink." That's the
Mhm.
kind of the
Yeah,
kind of responses that you get.
yeah,
Matt says, "Yeah, poltergeists are temporary most of the time."
yeah.
Um, and so, yeah, but is that what it is? Or like I said, is it something that's evil? Because, you said that the house has had history of multiple owners, multiple renters. So that makes me think, okay, what is actually going on in the house? What happened in that house?
Mm.
You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
to make
yeah,
it switch hands so many times.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean that thought has crossed my mind. I'm going to be keeping an eye on that particular location to see, if there's a pattern forming here, a quite pronounced pattern, and if so, yeah, I wouldn't mind sort of renting it for a bit just to because it would be a great opportunity to leave equipment recording 24/7.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah,
You have to buy it.
that
and
would be
rent it.
actually awesome.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Well, if it's empty now, that's what I would go up to the
yeah,
owner and say, listen, I want to document some things there. I'll give you a couple months rent. Let me just leave my equipment running in there
yeah,
and see what we can find.
yeah, yeah.
You might be surprised. They might say yes.
Yeah, yeah. I think there's somebody in there at the moment, and quite possibly, I think some of the people that have been there would be horrified if they, if they knew what had gone on there in the past.
Right.
Yeah,
Get 'em out.
You say, hey, by the way, there's a spook in there. You might want.
yeah, yeah,
Wiz says, I think there is a scientific statement that has been lost and applies to everything in the world. Everything has a shelf life. Nothing lasts forever.
no,
I've
yeah.
asked people this question. Do you think that hauntings have a time limit?
Yeah. I mean, quite possibly because it's like Richard Felix postulated the question a while back. Why don't you ever see any ghost cavemen? Is it because over time energy dissipates? And a lot of these sort of figures that are seen with from not Edwardian, the old figures, the English figures with the ruffs, the Queen Elizabeth the first sort of era, Elizabethan. People are seeing less of those, I think, and is that indicative of energy dissipating over time? Yeah, they call it entropy, don't they? When energy dissipates. Yeah, heat energy dissipates. Heat entropy. Yeah, I think I do think there's something in that energy does dissipate over time.
So yeah, after a while, just you kind of like spread out
Yeah, yeah.
Because I've heard people say, and I don't know, do you believe that some spirits just will go dormant though?
Yeah, there could be something in that because the museum that we've just investigated, I don't believe, I may be wrong, but I don't believe there was any haunt reports of any haunt activity going on prior to a major refurbishment that occurred in 2020. I mean, this place is what was it? It's 1500s. It was built in the 1500s. It's had so many families living there, and obviously now there's been so many objects been brought into the museum that have their own energies. I know people. There is a lot of people out there who don't believe that energies can attach themselves to things, but I think there's something in that. And it was only when this refurbishment activity occurred that people started noticing strange occurrences in the building, books being moved, the sound of whispers, footsteps, none of which was ever noticed prior to that.
Right. Yeah, because you hear many stories from people. They say, well, we bought this house, people lived in it for, 50 years and everything was
Mm.
quiet. And then when they start ripping the walls apart, then all of a sudden things start to happen.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I think it's because they've disturbed the natural house.
yeah,
And yeah, so it makes something wake up.
yeah, definitely.
He wants to know. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I was just going to say further to that. A friend of mine once told me about a house, and funnily enough, it was just round the corner from the house in Bournemouth where the poltergeist was. It was literally a few hundred meters away. A friend of his had a house there, and they used to keep a pine cone on top of the television set, just an ornamental object. And they knocked through a wall to create a doorway. It was an old house. And a few weeks after they did this, they were watching TV one night, and the pine cone levitated about a foot off the TV and threw itself across the room. And nothing ever happened again. Nothing happened prior to that or after that. It was that one single incident. But they believe it was connected to the building work they were having done that. It disturbed something. So it was quite interesting.
Right. Yes, interesting thought. Do ghosts age, change, etc.? Good question.
Yeah, I think maybe the
Good
energy
question.
dissipates. Yeah,
They
yeah,
change, and that's the thing is, because everybody goes, well, why do everybody think that spirit or whatever is energy? Well, that's what we've grown up to believe. That's what we believe, that our body's energy, because the spirit is
mm,
energy. That's what keeps us living, keeps us going.
yeah,
And then when we pass, it transforms into something else, or it goes somewhere. Our life
yeah,
force
yeah.
goes somewhere. So that's why we always refer to it as that. Cree says, "What locations would you love to investigate and why?"
I mean, my my absolute sort of bucket list location would be the church at Borley. I mentioned Borley Rectory earlier on. It used to be in the 1930s and 40s was classed as the most haunted house in England, and a famous investigator by the name of Harry Price wrote a few books on it. Borley Rectory no longer stands. It burnt down in February 1939. And strange things. I mean, there was a poltergeist there. Strange things that occurred in that house for quite a few years. And after it burnt down, it seemed as though the haunt manifestations transferred themselves a short distance across the road to Borley Church. In the 1970s, a sound recording team went there, and they left recording devices in the church and retreated for several hours. And when they went back and reviewed their recordings, there were voices, clear voices on the tape. There were sounds of sighing, footsteps, knocks, the latches of some of the old doors opening and closing. And I believe it was on that same occasion, one of the tape recorders was actually found smashed to bits. There was nobody else in the church at the time. So I'd love to spend the night in Borley Church, but
We've been in there.
we've been in there. We were lucky enough to get a tour around there by the verger. We just bumped into him accidentally when we went there one time. But the villagers there, understandably, are very, very wary of outsiders because they get so much attention there, especially on Halloween, people trespassing on their property. So I quite understand where they're coming from. They are sometimes a little bit hostile to people visiting the place. Maybe one day, I don't know how I'd be able to do it, but I'd love to spend the night in Borley Church. Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, so we got people continuing with do ghosts age, changing, etc. And then of course you got Manson. Well, that means Albert Einstein's quote: our energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be changed from one form to another. Would be wrong. You know
No.
what? Albert Einstein was a very smart man.
Yeah. Yeah. It
But
doesn't mean that. No, it doesn't mean that at all because you get. I mentioned heat entropy. It's not. It's not being destroyed. It just dissipates. So imagine, you heat your living room up with a fire. And you get the heat energy in that room. Obviously, is keeping you warm. Then, if you open all the windows, that heat energy is still heat energy, but it dissipates because it's diluted, if you like, as it spreads out into the air around it. So it's still there. So the theory of relativity still stands, but I think one physicist a while back actually said that in future, if the Earth survives long enough, all energy could be lost to heat entropy. Um, Simply by burning fossil fuels and everything else. So no,
right.
Albert Einstein's equation still stands, but energy can dissipate.
I agree. Let's see. Good night, Mima. Thanks for joining us. Hope you sleep well. So yeah, that's let's see. Pam, they must be sentient. Let's here. Okay, I'm trying not to miss stuff, guys. Pam says, I have wondered if ghosts are sentient. Could they get tired of being bothered? They might refuse to perform when investigators come in. I've always said that too.
Yeah, I mean they're not
They don't
circus
perform.
animals, are they? No, no.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's what I always say. We're not performing monkeys. I know. I would look at it from my perspective, or it's okay. Say I pass and I become a ghost, and this and that, and if somebody comes in and they start screwing around, and if I was in the mood, yeah, I would mess with them. Give them something to talk about. But most of the time, I was like, get out of here and stop bothering me.
yeah, yeah,
Somebody you
yeah,
really don't know. So
yeah. Although maybe some ghosts, that they're there for a reason. They haven't crossed over. I'd like to think personally that they would like to at least have some kind of meaningful communication, because if they haven't moved on, I'd like to think that everybody moved on. If they haven't moved on, then why haven't they? And is there something that can be done to help them? If
right.
there are such things as ghosts. I mean, I'll be perfectly honest. I'm kind of on the fence. I'm open-minded about it. I believe that they could exist, but I haven't seen any evidence of that so far.
Right.
But I'm looking
Cree
for it.
wants. That's what we're doing. We're looking for it.
Yeah.
The proof. Let's see. Cree says, "What do you think about people going into abandoned locations as if because no one lives there, it's haunted? Do people do that because it's so hard to get into haunted locations or money?"
I think it's exactly that, Cree. Yeah, I think and when they do videos on it, some of these places they look creepy, so they lend themselves to the possibility of that. And they might not have actually. There might not be any evidence whatsoever to suggest that there's anything untoward spiritually going on there. So I think, yeah, and unfortunately, a lot of these places do charge a lot of money if you do try to hire somewhere out. That is the unfortunate thing, because it is such a popular pastime now. These venues, they know that, and they're just chasing the dollar, aren't they? So
Yeah, pretty much. That's why I think the same thing with now what's going on in the community where Matt Rife and them bought the Warren Museum. Rumors are they're trying to get into the Conjuring House and buy that. That is all for show, for Hollywood,
yeah,
and to collect the money.
yeah, yeah,
I don't believe that they actually have good intentions for either location, all
no,
just to cash in on on the money ride. Um, Yeah, Joe says, yeah, going into locations you got to pay for is really expensive. That's for damn sure. Yeah, so that's why a lot of people do abandon homes.
mm,
Also, see, I'm on the fence about that because if you have permission to go into the abandoned space, I think that's great. Always get permission. Don't trespass, guys.
yeah,
Don't get
yeah,
busted. But it's a spot where nobody has disturbed. So I think if you get a chance to go into one of those places, you might get a better result.
mm,
Because it's not, beat to death by, team after team after team.
yeah,
And people like to see new places and not the same old, same old. So yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Because a lot of these places have, like IC says, it becomes a tourist attraction, a tourist trap.
yeah,
So it's if you can find a place where you have permission and then go in, I say go for it.
yeah. I mean, one positive to be said about that sort of thing is there was a haunting in Britain called I think it was the Rochdale poltergeist, and an amazing guy called Steve Mehrer, I think he's a parapsychologist. He wrote a book on it, and at the end of his particular investigation, he talks about turning. He actually got in contact with the council and told them to turn the electricity off to this place, and he called it leaving the house fallow, by completely disconnecting it from any form of electrical interference. There was nothing that could lend itself to the creation. Talking about energy being transferred from one form to another, and he felt that leaving it what he called fallow was an excellent way of helping to reduce the haunting, because it was literally depleting the house of any energy that it could use, to then be transferred into what people were experiencing there.
Bree has a question again. She says, I often thought that living time is not the same as spirit time. We ask a question and then three more, then an answer to the first question is given.
Mhm.
What if time is different for them?
This is it, isn't it? I mean, in our own minds, you know, we all consider time differently, I suppose. I've asked a few people how they view a year, and everybody that I speak to views it in a different way. You have an idea of a year in your head. Does it run from left to right, right to left? But yeah, I just don't know what the answer to that one is. Yeah, yeah. Will we ever know?
Right. I mean, how do we know that time hasn't stood still for them?
Well, this is it. That's right. Yeah, yeah. Um,
You know, it ended when their physical life came to an end.
yeah,
So they
yeah.
have no clue what's going on. So that's why it's a lot of things where you get people say, oh, we have these, you know, these gadgets and you can make it go off. I mean, if it's somebody from like 200-300 years ago, they're going to look at what the hell is that? You know,
Yeah.
witchcraft or, you know,
Yeah,
and, you know, they're not going to respond to that because, you know, they want nothing to do with witchcraft. So
yeah, yeah,
this, you know, you don't know, time could have stopped for them.
yeah.
Again, we just don't know.
No.
So let's see. UK laws are different. If they have a way in, it isn't trespassing. Ah, see, I hear if the land is posted, don't step on it because you're
Mm,
going to jail.
mm.
or you're getting some rock salt shot in your butt from
Yeah, yeah,
they do that around here. So
yeah, yeah. I have heard of people going into places if it's not been secured, then technically, you're not actually breaking the law. But it wouldn't be something we do, really. You know, and on the subject of finding places to investigate, there's a lot of places that people can go that are outside. You don't have to be spending
right.
lots of money hiring places. Um, you know, if you read up on local history, even going on the internet, you can find places that have got quite a reputation for being haunted, and you don't have to spend a penny to visit them.
Right. Right.
So,
We have a lot of those here too. Yeah, like we
yeah,
have it's called the Risky Battlefield. And it's a park that everybody can walk
yeah,
through, and it has the giant monuments, you know, dedicated to the fallen during
mm,
that battle. And so you can go there and just wander around, you know,
mm,
with cameras and recorders and see what you can pick up. Because they say at night you do see soldiers and nurses,
right, yeah,
women walking through the fields.
yeah,
So
yeah,
you know, and you don't have to pay a dime for that.
yeah.
Pomp has a question. What is meant when people say spirit vibrate at a different speed to the living?
I think that's sort of going into quantum physics, isn't it? Because you have I don't want to get all technical, um, around an atom, you obviously have electrons spinning around atoms, and depending on what energy state that atom is in, those electrons orbit their atoms uh, at different distances from the atom, and they jump states depending on the level of energy that that atom has. Um, so that's probably what they're referring to. But
There you go.
then again, you know, atoms are physical things. Ghosts aren't. So how does that work? Mm.
Yeah. Cree says, I just always hear skeptics or debunkers pounce when a question is asked, and then the team asks more when something is said, and they say they didn't ask for that, ask for a name, and I say that was the first asked. I get what you're saying. Now, when you guys are doing an investigation and you're going to do any talking, how much time do you give in between each question?
It's normally about, well, we try and say at least 10 seconds or more. And then we cut that down in the video so as to not bore people. But ideally, you know, you should leave a fair amount of time, because if there is any such thing as a spirit that's going to answer you, they're not necessarily going to do it straight away.
Mm.
Right.
Um, So yeah, you should give them a fair bit of time. We normally say 10, 12 seconds. Yeah, between asking each question. As I say, we edit
Right.
that in purely for time, just so people aren't left sitting there just listening to or watching nothing. Because yeah, we're quite aware that can be
Right. Well, a lot of people do that. And,
Yeah.
and actually, the first question is, "Oh, what is your name?" I try not to do that. I always try to say, "Gee, could you tell me what my name is?"
Yeah, yeah,
Or just something else out of the ordinary.
yeah.
And then gradually get down and say, "Well, who am I speaking with?" And then so
Mm.
on. So it's of course everybody has their own different way of doing things. I
Yeah.
do mostly outside stuff, so it's I always try to do it from a different angle than if I was doing any kind of residential or abandoned place.
Mm.
Let's see. Well, ghosts from the Civil War can't be from the future, can they? Okay, they're talking about. Yeah, Gettysburg. I would love to be able to go to Gettysburg, and it's really not that far from me. Everybody I know that has been there has gotten some great responses, great experiences. Maybe someday I'll be able to get myself over there, but who knows? What is the future plans for APRF?
Right. Well, we're definitely going to be looking at doing a video on the equipment, because I think that would be a really interesting one for people, just to sort of see part of the process. I mean, we wouldn't have to show all the data loggers. We could just concentrate on one, because it's pretty much the same process for all of them, although it's slightly different for the infrasound monitor. So we could incorporate that into the same video. Be more than happy to do that. We thought about doing a very short video, probably only be about 5 minutes or so, on a local, not landmark, location that has an extremely strange story attached to it. And it's not actually haunted, but we thought, because the story attached to it is so strange, that our viewers might find it interesting. So yeah, we're going to be doing something along the lines of that. It won't be a regular thing. It's just a one-off, because we just find the story so fascinating ourselves. And yeah, we've got another investigation planned. That'll be an outdoor one later in the year. So yeah, we're just keeping plodding along, and hopefully one day we'll find something that contributes part of the jigsaw.
Right, it's a part of
Yeah.
the mystery.
Mm.
That's all we can do. Guys, have any more questions that you'd like to ask Wes or Lisa before we let them get going? It's getting late on their end of the pond. And I don't like to have to keep them up any later than I have to.
Oh, we're okay. We're okay.
Uh, I always feel guilty.
Oh no, it's all right.
Oh boy. Have you ever thought about letting when you go in to do investigations, have you ever thought about letting Lisa go on and do her own thing on her own, and then you just switch on and off?
Yeah, we've done that. Yeah, I've gone off with my phone camera and wandered off around the prison on my own, and we've been in different rooms doing asking questions, haven't we? And yeah, I don't mind going off on my own in the dark.
Well, that's good.
Mm.
So, yeah, has anything ever happened to you that made you not want to return to a place, Lisa?
No, I don't think so. The only place I was a little bit wary of was the chapel at, where was that? Shepton Mallet or Dorchester?
Oh, Dorchester prison.
Dorchester prison. They've got a chapel upstairs, and I was a bit wary of going up there on my own. So yeah, I felt a bit spooky.
Little spooky. Okay, actually, Matt has on here. He says, you guys should hop on a live stream with us when I get back to the States. We could have a good talk. I think that would be a great idea, because then you guys could really dive into, the electronics. And
Yeah.
a lot of people do get these tools and have no clue how they work, how to use them. They just get it because it's a toy.
Yeah. No, we'd love to, Matt. Thank you. That'd be great. Yeah.
So let's see. Cree wants to know, Lisa, what do you think about paranormal investigating?
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
He's hooked.
I remember the first one that we went on. I can't remember which one it was. Was it the Black Swan? I was really disappointed the next morning that nothing actually happened.
Oh, you should have gave her a little spook scare, Wes. Just
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it's I mean, people, when you see videos on YouTube, you know, the fake ones, you know, something's happening every few seconds. But the reality, as most of us know, is that it's incredibly boring. Actually, just sitting there for hours on end, just
yes,
listening and waiting, and but that's how it has to be.
that's all part of the fun.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, Matt said that's usually what happens. Yeah, it is. You're all you know, you got all this hype, and you're thinking, oh boy, and then when you get in
yeah,
there,
yeah.
you
Yeah. But it's
Yeah.
just great going to places because it takes us to places we wouldn't normally go to. So it's great, isn't it?
know, right?
Yeah, it's just
Yeah,
nice to
yeah,
get away for the weekend.
mm,
It's quality time together.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, Sage says, "Welcome to reality." Yeah, that's usually how you're expecting
yeah,
the big, ta-da, and it's a big nothing. So
yeah, yeah,
um, and then everybody goes, "Well, see, we told you," and then you have to say no. You have to go multiple times. It's not like like you said, the entertainment channels where they oh
mm,
demon, oh this that doesn't happen. That
yeah,
doesn't
yeah, yeah. I mean, even in some of the most reputedly most haunted places, um, the paranormal isn't happening all the time. So to
happen. Right.
maximise your chances, you know, we believe you've got to keep going back. Um, you know, to stand any chance really. You'd be very lucky
Yep.
to get one a particular location and strike gold on the first the first
That's
time.
right.
Mm,
And sometimes it could be years.
mm, yeah,
Before you even get anything. Pam
yeah.
wants to know, do you think perhaps things can appear as they choose? So demonic or dressed in a certain way, etc.
Um, yeah, I mean possibly. I mean we don't subscribe to the this the demon thing. You know, we think that when you see some videos, everything's attributed to demons, and I just don't think that
No.
that's the case. You know, you could have I don't know if ghosts do exist, you could have the ghosts of people that were very negative, or um, that kind of negative connotation. But in terms of demons, we just don't believe that it's certainly not happening on the level that some people are claiming it to be.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
Well, like called last year the year of the demon, because that's all you heard out of anybody's mouth. Oh,
yeah,
demon, demon, demon.
yeah.
Now I would always say, yeah, if it was really a demon, you wouldn't be bragging about it.
No, that's very true.
They'd be
Yeah,
filling their shorts and running down the street if it was real.
yeah,
Cree
yeah,
wants to know, I've never understood why an investigation is always done at night. Yes, it helps with traffic sound, but still, it would be nice to see investigations during the day. I do them during the day.
yeah. I think, to be honest with you, I think a lot of investigations are done at night because um, there is such a reduction in noise pollution, and the amount of people that are about. You're far less likely to be disturbed if you're doing an investigation at night. And certainly, buildings that, and especially ones that people hire out, in the daytime, they're buzzing with people. Whereas if you have them for the night, you'll quite likely, if you've hired the place out, you'll be the only ones in there. So it's a matter of convenience, really. I don't think that ghosts are any more prevalent at night than they are during the day. And in fact, the next investigation video we put out will be talking about that. There was a very good reason for me saying that. But yeah, ghosts are just as busy in the daytime as they are at night.
Right. Yeah. If it's haunted, it's haunted. I again, yeah, like a lot of people, it's because less contamination for noise. outside noise, because it's less active in the nighttime, especially
Yeah.
wee hours of the morning. So, and then, you know, when people are doing a lot of video or photographing, they want to pick up stuff clearly. And in the dark, you'll notice that if something is going to be floating by or whatever, it seems to appear better in the evening or the dark hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
Than the daytime. But I mean, that's not always necessarily true either, because I've seen photographs where people have taken in their houses and you could see a full body,
Yeah.
you know,
Mm.
person in the photograph, and it was during the day. So
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah.
I think it's just a matter of opinion on when you want to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, Kenny wants to know why Ghost is wearing clothes at all. He thinks they should be naked. What are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, well, I've had this discussion with my dad, and he's often said that. He said, "Well, where does the clothes bit come in? Because clothes don't have a spirit, do they?" Um, yeah, I mean, some people think that it's just the way that particular person wants to present themselves, and that's how they see themselves at that time. So that's what's manifested to the percipient in that particular haunting on that occasion. So it could
Right.
be like that, but yeah. But in the same way, people have even seen ghost houses in the county of Dorset where we live. I think it was in the 1960s. Somebody saw the ghost of a house. Well, they didn't know it was a ghost at the time. They were driving down a road. I think their car broke down, and they noticed a long driveway and a really large country house. All the lights were on. They heard violins playing. Anyway, the next day when they went back to have their car retrieved, the house wasn't there. There used to be one hundreds of years ago. So
Darn.
yeah, so you know, even inanimate objects have been seen that aren't actually there. So that
Yeah, that's pretty good.
uh,
That's pretty amazing.
Mm.
Yeah, that's why I explain a lot of people. They say, "Well, how come they have clothes on?" Well, not for nothing. I mean, would you want to present yourself to somebody naked?
It certainly would.
I mean, that's how loved ones and people would expect to see somebody as with
Yeah,
clothing
yeah,
on. So I just think, yeah, that's just how they present themselves. I think I'd be a little disturbed if something appeared before me and it had no clothes on.
yeah,
I'd be a little concerned about that one. Let's see. Try not to miss anybody's questions. Oh, we got wisdom. Has there been any ghost sightings in Valiant 911? I haven't heard anything personally, but many lives lost. You would think that they would create a mass haunting. Thoughts on a mass tragedy since a
Mm.
9/11? Okay, that's what he's talking about.
yeah.
I don't know because I've never heard anything.
Mm.
Uh,
No.
it's pretty interesting, Liz. Yeah, I wonder if there are stories out there about people seeing
Yeah.
anything in that area from the 9/11 disaster there. That's a really good question.
Yeah. We live not that far from Southampton, where the Titanic sailed from, and we've never heard of anything associated with that either. Um,
That would be
yeah,
really interesting.
yeah.
Wow. So that's a good question. I don't know. Maybe we need to start searching for answers to that one. If anybody has
Mm.
experienced anything from the 9/11 tragedy on any of the sites, all the places where they all got hit, and where the plane went down, and
Mm.
I wonder if there's anything connected to that. That would be pretty amazing. A sage says ghost houses.
Yeah, I know it sounds crazy, but it happened apparently.
Just another end of the puzzle.
Mm.
Let's see. Fan body weight and death before conditions. Death weight when two and okay. Wisdom. I do think those poor people would be at the memorial, but maybe to loved ones. Yeah, I think that I don't know. That's really something I'm going to look into, see if there's any stories about that, because you think, I mean, that was one hell of a tragedy. Like
Mm.
like with the Titanic, you think somebody would have said something about it, or saying that they'd seen anything about it. Let's see. Also, a lot of apparitions, I believe, are residual hauntings related, and that is how they look like during their time. Yeah, that's what I believe too. Yeah, that
Yeah,
it's.
yeah,
I don't think that they're going to, appear, as loved ones wouldn't expect them to be.
no, no,
Not everybody walks around naked. So,
no.
Pam says, if a haunting is like a recording of the moment in time, would they not occur during the daytime or during the day more?
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
point. Yeah, yeah. But then, a lot of ghosts are seen in the day, aren't they? People swear blind that they've seen somebody, they look solid, when they're seen in the daytime, and they later find out that it's somebody that's passed. So
Right.
yeah,
Well, like you guys saying, you got houses that are empty and nobody's in them. How do we know that they're not just wandering around
mm,
in there,
yeah, yeah,
doing like what they would have done when they were living?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like the house that I told you about earlier, there where that was up for sale for the longest time. One of the sightings was an elderly woman in the kitchen, and she was doing her thing in the kitchen, like she
Mm,
was still living. So how do we know what's going on when nobody's around?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Chris said that, yeah, actually, yes, there have been some at Ground Zero. Excuse me, I saw a documentary on it. I'm gonna look that up after I get done choking. Sorry about that. Yeah, that's great to check that out. If anniversary ghosts are a thing, what about leap year?
Yeah, yeah,
They have
good
to wait
point,
leap
Bob.
year.
Yeah.
They don't show up until leap year, Pomp. uh,
I think the
let's see.
conditions have to be right, though. I think even if they're anniversary ghosts, I think the conditions have to be
Mm.
certain conditions have to be met possibly before
Environmental.
these, certain environmental conditions.
Sage says that the Titanic isn't haunted, the iceberg is. I actually seen a video online a while back, and it showed the wreckage of the Titanic, and it showed apparitions walking around on
Yes,
the ocean floor. I'm thinking, oh wow, what if that is a real thing? What if they
mm,
would be caught? That would be just mind blowing.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah,
So yeah, paranormal, another person's fear is effective, any dark kind of fear. Yeah, a lot of people, yes, are terribly afraid of the dark. So it makes that paranormal experience even more intense. Um, let's see. Questions. Let's see. Pam says, I believe intent is more powerful thing than it is given credit for. So yeah, it is amazing. It's still all just a big mystery to everybody. We're all
mm,
in it doing the same thing, but you guys are just taking a different path than the majority of us, which I think is great. We look forward to all of the stuff that you guys come up with. Hello, Wayne. How are you?
Hi, Wayne.
oh,
Wayne says, yeah, a lot of people fear the dark. Yes, they do. And not for
mm,
nothing, there's the same thing that was there during the day is there at night, unless you're outside like me roaming around.
mm,
Then you might end up, running into some like raccoons or skunks or something,
yeah, yeah. They do say
which is pretty much the usual.
they do say though, don't they? If you turn the lights out, not that I'm advocating that people do investigations in the dark necessarily, but your hearing becomes more acute.
Yes.
If you're sat there listening in the dark, um, yeah, you're able to focus more on what you're listening or trying to listen to. So I think that there's an advantage in that respect. I don't think it's an absolute requirement. Definitely not.
Right. Okay. I see Ghost just looked up. She says she just looked up the 9/11 hauntings, supposedly a book written by a 9/11 worker. Oh, okay. We'll have to look into that. That's amazing. So I wonder how many people see. That's difficult though, to go there to where the monument was and to see if you're going to get anything. The noise, New York City never goes to sleep. So that's the problem right there. So whatever you do collect as far as data goes is going to be corrupted because of, who knows, you're doing your thing and you got some wino running by saying, hey, how's it going? That kind of weird stuff.
Yeah.
So that would be really hard to figure out. But if you could actually see it, that would be interesting, I think. Totally interesting. Okay, tell us where we can find you guys, and so everybody can keep up with you and what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody hasn't subscribed, we're APRF Paranormal Investigations. We haven't got a Facebook presence, although Lisa's on Facebook.
I'm on Facebook. You can always friend me.
Yeah, other than that, we just do our thing on YouTube and hope that people like it.
Your email's on there as well.
Oh yeah, I've got an email.
Yes.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
an email.
Yeah. And then they can find that on your YouTube page.
Yeah, it's on the homepage there. Yeah.
The description. So that's where you guys can find them. I agree, guys. Yes, I wouldn't do the 9/11 because it is disrespectful, because it actually is just a giant resting place for all those poor people. And some of them, it's touched pretty close to home. A lot of people had family members and friends that were involved. So but it's still interesting to see if anybody had ever seen anything. That's all I was pretty much getting to. I'm not telling anybody, quick, run out and go do that. Don't do that. Just but yes, if you haven't subscribed to APRF, Wes and Lisa, please do so. Go check out all of their adventures. Please subscribe, all the bells and whistles. Same if you could do it for me, I would really appreciate it. And guys, comment. The comments really count. That crazy YouTube algorithm drives us all nuts. But the more you guys do, just in that alone helps everybody's channels out, and especially Wes and Lisa. Yes, I think it would be great, when Matt gets home from deployment, you guys touch base and you guys could all do like a live together. That would be awesome. So, because there's a lot that we all need to learn, those who don't have these gadgets and this way of thinking. I think it's really important that we start taking different avenues in this field, because we're not really getting anywhere the way we're doing it now. We're all getting the same stuff, and it's just over and over. And I think you guys are leading the way for a different path. So let's see. What do you say? I don't see the difference from all the other tragedies we investigate. Yeah, that's true, Matt. But I don't know, 9/11 is a little touchy. So maybe if we wait another 20 years, people won't be so sensitive towards it. Because it's true. No matter where you go and you investigate, there was some form of tragedy. And eventually, people end up going there anyway. But I want to thank everybody for joining us, for hanging out with Wes, Lisa, and myself. I hope you guys learned something. I know I did. I always do. You guys are welcome back anytime at all.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Bless you.
And, we appreciate it. Looking forward to what you've got coming up for us. And like I said, guys, go check out their channel. You can get all of their information on there. If you want to touch base with them, visit their house, let them know. They might invite you. Who knows? That's just great, guys. Thanks for taking part. And remember just to, hit the like, share, whatever. Until then, guys, remember to always live life a little bit on the raw side. We'll check y'all out next time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.